Hello and welcome to another Oxygen Live webinar. My name is Alin Belu and I will be your host for today's event titled Exploring Oxygen's YAML Support. In the following hour, Octavian Nadolu, project manager at Syncrosoft, returns so he can guide us through a variety of features and improvements that will provide a comprehensive understanding of Oxygen's capabilities when working with YAML documents. So I'm really glad you all joined us for this. Before we get started, let me tell you some information that you need to know about our today's live event. The webinar is being recorded as we speak. This means that in the following days, the recording will be made available on the event page on our site, oxygenxml.com, along with Octavian's presentation slides. And also the recording will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, Oxygen XML. Another important aspect of today's event is that as we go along, we encourage you to ask us questions by using the questions panel from the GoToWebinar interface, where our colleagues Teodor Templaru and Florin Nica will assist us by answering to all of your questions in real time. And of course, we will be addressing those questions again at the end in a Q&A session, along with your latest entries for the benefit of everyone joining us today. And also Octavian was kind enough to already share with you his presentation slides that you can find right now in the handouts panel of the GoToWebinar interface. So, well, this was everything I had to say for our today's introduction. So now I leave you with our featured presenter, Octavian Nadolu. Hello, Octavian.
Hello, Aline. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new webinar. So today we'll discuss about YAML. I'll share my screen first. So we'll discuss about YAML and the support that we added in the latest releases in Oxygen. We'll see how you can edit YAML in Oxygen, how you can validate YAML using JSON Schema, the frameworks that we provide, the tools that we have in Oxygen. So this is the agenda of the presentation. I'll tell you a few things about the YAML language, then how you can edit YAML documents, how you can validate using JSON Schema, the tools, the OpenAPI and AsyncAPI support that it's available also in YAML format. And of course, we'll discuss also future plans, and we wait for your feedback and your questions during the webinar, and also at the end of the webinar when we'll have the question and answer section. So the YAML support in Oxygen, it's available in 3 products. It's available in Oxygen XML Editor, Oxygen XML Developer, and Oxygen JSON Editor. The JSON Editor is the latest product that we added for Oxygen products. The YAML comes from the YAML name comes from yet another markup language that became later YAML Enter markup language. It was first proposed by Clark Evans in 2001, and it's a human-friendly data serialization language, especially used in API and configuration, and it's easy to read and understand by humans. It's more easy to read and understand than the other markup languages. The YAML specification and the YAML website, it's on the YAML.org. So if you want to check more information about this, you can check it on this site. There are different versions of the YAML specification. So the first version was in 2004, then the second version in 2006, of 2005, and starting with version 1.0, YAML became also JSON file became also YAML valid. So JSON is considered like a subset of the YAML language. Then there are other specifications available in 2009 and 2021. The YAML specification, it seems to be complicated for something that it's very simple. but this is because describing something simple sometimes can be complicated. For the YAML syntax, the YAML file extension, it's .yaml or .iml. These are the extensions that are used for YAML files. Then in order to have indent for the YAML file, the indentation is used in order to specify the blocks, and the mappings are used in order to specify a pair of property and value. Then the dashes is used to specify a sequence of entries, and also the hash can be used to comment in a YAML document. These are basic things that you need to know in order to write a YAML document. There are different types of YAML data, so you can use scalars like strings, and the strings can be written with codes or double codes, but you can write also a string without any codes, and this will be automatically determined as being a string in case it's not a number. For the numbers, you can use integer or floating, but you can also use exponential numbers. Then you can use also Boolean, true or false. For the sequence, we have this list of values that needs to be added with a dash in front, like this. And then we have the map, that's its a key value pair. And you can have also null in case you want to represent the absence of a value. If you compare YAML with other language, we see that it's more easy to read. For example, in JSON, you have these curly brackets, square brackets, or codes that are added in the document. It's harder to read. For XML, you have the tags where you have the value of the property name. So it's easier to read a YAML file than a JSON or XML document. Before I go forward, I have a question for you. How do you use YAML? And I added here some options: create configuration files for storing data, documentation and markup maybe, or build and deployment scripts. Or if you have other type of using YAML, you can use the questions panel and give us feedback there. So we started the poll, and after you vote, I will share this information with you, so everyone will see how YAML is used by you. We'll leave this for a few moments so everyone will have time to answer to the question. So yes, so we see now the poll results. So most of you are using for creating configuration files, but there are also other use cases, and as I told you, you can use the questions panel if you want to give us feedback. There are some of you that are use YAML for storing data, but also for build and deployment scripts. There are a number of you that are using. So thank you. We can go further. So editing YAML documents in Oxygen. Oxygen comes with a built-in YAML editor. We have also a YAML outline view, validation and well-formness check for YAML documents, and also content completion assistant based on JSON schema. For the YAML editor, we provide specific syntax highlight that can be configured, structure folding, format and indent, and also new document templates if you want to create new documents. And I'll show you an example. For this presentation, I use Oxygen JSON editor, but as I told you, this support is available also in Oxygen XML developer or Oxygen XML editor. So if I open YAML document, I'll double click here in the project. Automatically, it's opened in the YAML editor, and we see that we have a specific syntax highlight. We have some markers here that allows you to see the indentation of the properties, and this is very useful because you need to know how to indent the properties in order to create a YAML file. And also, if you press enter, automatically it takes you to the position to insert the new property that is indented with the previous one. So it's easy to create a new property and insert new values just by pressing enter. Then you can use the format and indent action. For example, if you have the child blocks formatted differently, you can use these actions and will format the properties from the document according to the option. And you can also change this option and depending on your needs, you can format it with different number of spaces. There are also other actions that are available in the contextual menu to copy the JSON pointer, path expression. You can also use the toggle line comment. If you want to comment, for example, some of the properties, you can use this action either by the shortcut or just by using this action, and automatically the code is commented or uncommented depending on if the code was previously comment or not. We provide also support to create new YAML documents, and you can create a new YAML document based on a JSON schema. So if you already have a specification using a JSON schema, you can generate automatically the content in the new created YAML document, and you can specify how you want to generate this content. You can generate the optional properties, you can generate the default properties. Also, you can specify how you how the values of the new document will be generated. We have also an option to create your own template. So if you have a template, you can save it in the templates folder, and Oxygen automatically will use this when you create a new document, and you'll present this in the new files dialog. I will show you an example here. So if I want to create a new YAML document, I can press this new button here, select the YAML template, then I can customize. And here I can specify a schema that I want to use. Let's say I want to use the personal schema. I can specify if I want to associate the schema in the document, if I want to generate content in the document, if I want to generate values with default content, for example, the name of the properties or the examples from your schema, or with some random values. Let's say we want to generate the default values, and if you click generate, it generates a schema something like this, a new file something like this, where you have a person created with some information added in the new file templates. Then you can also save these file templates if you want to automatically have a template, or you can customize your template and save it in the templates folder. And then when you create a new file, you will have this available in the framework or global templates. For example, like this one for AsyncAPI, it will appear here. And when you create, it will use the template that you provide in the templates folder. So you can have also custom file just as you want. The structure folding is also important because allows you to focus on some parts of the document. So when you have big documents, it's easier to collapse some parts of the documents and focus on only on the important things. And we provide actions to collapse the folds, expand the child folds, and so on. So these folds, let me open a bigger file. Let's say this OpenAPI document here. And here I have a YAML document that contains different information about an API. So I can go and collapse very easily from here some parts of the document, but I can also use collapse other folds. For example, if I want to focus only on this operation, then I can expand the parts that I want to edit. So it's more easy when you want to focus on the document without seeing the rest of the document. We provide also support to search and refactor YAML documents, and you can use for this the find replace dialog and also the manage highlighted content that allows you to modify in place the matches. For example, let's say you want to find all the email addresses, something like this, the Oxygen XML email addresses. You can easily select and use the Control F to show the find dialog and then see all the references. You can also press Control Shift F to find all occurrences from the current document, and you'll see all the occurrences, but you can also modify in place using the modify all action from here. And this will change in all the places from the document. Then I'll press escape and the modification is made in the document. You can also use the find action if you want to change, make changes. So if you don't want to make in-place changes, you can also use this action to replace manually each change or replace all changes from here. Then if you want to modify multiple documents, you can use the find replace action from the project view, where you can find, for example, all the name properties. You have also options here to use regular expression or case sensitive matches. You can also replace, you can select the entire all the projects files, or you can use the selection as I did here. And if I go with the find all, it searches through all the files that I selected in the scope, and then I can see the results directly here in the results view. The YAML outline view, it's also important because it allows you to see the structure of the YAML document, and this is synchronized with the editor, and it allows also to filter and search for properties. It display the error markers in case there are problems in the document. So, for example, if I go here in this outline view, I select a property, automatically will be selected in the editor. And just a second. This is synchronized with the editor. So if you click in the editor, automatically the property will be selected in the outline. If I make a modification that will break the structure of the JSON doc of the YAML document, the outline will not break, so will still present the structure, and so will recover, and will also present here the problems from the document in case you want to see the errors. You can also spot it directly there. You can also filter. For example, if you want to search for the emails from this document, you can type here email, and automatically will filter and present all the emails properties from the document. You can present them in a flat way, but you can also represent them as a hierarchical result like this. Then I can clear the result and I can still see the entire structure here. The JSON schema, it's a vocabulary that can be used to validate YAML documents. It's designed for annotate and validate JSON documents, but can be used also for YAML documents. The specification is available on the jasonschema.org website. And in Oxygen, you can associate a JSON schema with a YAML document. You can associate it directly in the document or through the application options. And in order to associate in the document, you need to add this $schema property on the first level of your YAML document. This will allow you to validate and edit your YAML document and make sure that it's accordingly to the specification provided by the JSON schema. The content completion automatically presents the properties that can be inserted in a certain place from your YAML document. So it provides valid proposal based on the JSON schema and also documentation from your schema. But you can also define code templates, snippets of code that you want to insert in your document. And I will show you an example. So in order to let me close the other files. In order to associate the schema with the current document, I can use this action from here, associate schema. And here I can select the schema that I want to associate, the personal schema. I can specify if I want a relative path or an absolute path. And the schema is added here on the first level. Now, based on this schema, I can edit the document and Oxygen will provide me automatically the properties that can be inserted in the current context. So here I can insert an ID, then I can insert a name, then after the name, I can insert an email, and then I can insert very easily a link, and I have the person added. So it automatically presents me the property that can be inserted, and also it provides documentation from the schema. So if you document your schema, if you add information with links, with specification, then you'll have also this information added here in the content completion window. And this makes sure that when you edit YAML document, you'll have the document valid and accordingly to the schema that you define. If you don't want to associate the schema in the document, or this property is not valid for you here, you can also create a validation scenario. So you can go here in the validate, configure validation, create a new validation scenario. This will have a name. It will be saved in the project. So if you share the project with someone, it will use the same action, the same association. And then here I can specify the schema. So I want to specify the personal schema, click OK, and I will save it. Now I have the same association made. I don't have the association in the document, and I can edit the document from the content completion. I have the proposals here. So this is another way to associate the schema directly from the validation scenario. This will provide also support if you share the project with someone. It will use the same content completion and the same schema to edit your documents. Validating YAML documents. So Oxygen provides support to check for well-formness, so check if the YAML documents are according to the specification. But you can also validate YAML documents against JSON schema, and you can also batch validate. So you can validate an entire project or a set of YAML documents with a JSON schema. For well-formness check, Oxygen checks if the YAML document respects the specification, and you can find more about the YAML specification on the YAML.org website. So the structure that is defined in the YAML specification needs to be respected in order to have a well-formed YAML document. So Oxygen comes with a built-in error scanner and automatically presents the problem when you are editing the document, but you can also validate manually and present the errors. I'll show you an example. So if I break here the structure, for example, I delete these columns here, the document will not be well formed, and then an error is presented here that says that this is not correct. And if you want to validate manually, you can use this validate check for well formness action, and will present the problem here in the result. In the results, you can also validate or check for well-formed multiple files from the project. You have here the check for well-formness action that will validate all the files from the selection. I will undo the modification now. Okay, then validating against JSON schema is important because you can define a specification for your YAML documents, and you can ensure that your YAML documents respects the specification that you define. Also, we provide this automatically validation. The association, as I presented before, you can do it in the document or with a validation scenario. And you can perform also manual validation with the schema, and the errors are present either in the document or in the results view, depending on the action that you are using. So in our case, for example, I have a schema associated with my document. So I configure this schema here in the association, the one that I use for content completion. And if I delete a property from here, let's say I want to remove the family, automatically an error is triggered. It says that the family was not found. And also if I change this property and I break the email address, it will say that this is not a valid email address. And if I go to the schema, I can control click on the email. I can see the definition of the email property that says that it needs to be a string, and the format of the string needs to be an email. And because it's not an email, it will present me this problem here. I can also validate this by using the validate action from the toolbar, and will present me the problems in the result view. And as I correct problems in the document, automatically the errors will disappear. So if I add here, I correct the problem, automatically this problem will disappear. Or here, if I add the family, automatically the problem will not be presented anymore. So it helps you to keep the document valid if you associate the schema with your YAML document. Batch validation is also important because you can validate an entire project. So you can check for well-formness, but you can also validate multiple YAML documents at once. And you can also use the Oxygen scripting tool that it's a different product and can be used for validating documents. And you can have this on an integration server and automatically validate your YAML document as they are committed, for example, on a repository, and get a report with the results. So the batch validation action, it's available in the project, and you can select the files that you want to validate or the project, and then use the validate action from here. You can check for well-forness, you can validate with the schema, or you can specify a scenario to validate with. So if I click the validate action, it will validate all the files from the project, and I get here the problems from my project, like this one where I have some issues in my personal file. I have another question for you here. Do you use JSON schema, maybe for JSON editing, or for YAML editing, or for other purposes? And the answer will be no, I don't use JSON schema, or yes, I use, and I use draft 4, 6, or 7, or yes, I use the latest version 2019 and 2020, or yes, I use but other versions. So we'll start this poll, and we'll see the results, and after you'll respond, I'll share this information with you. The JSON schema, it's important if you want to have support, not necessarily in Oxygen, but also in other applications, and to make sure that your documents are valid. You define a specification. So I see that most of you are not using yet JSON schema, so I hope I'll convince you to use it and see the benefits of using it. There are some of you that are using draft 4, 6, and 7, and some of you that are using the latest version. So thank you for sharing this. We can continue with the presentation, and I'll tell you a few things about the YAML tools that we provide. So we provide support for converting YAML documents. So you can convert a YAML document to JSON. You can convert a JSON document to YAML. You can also convert a YAML document to XML or back. And we provide also batch conversion. So you can convert multiple documents at once from YAML to JSON, from YAML to XML and back. I'll show you an example. So let me close these files. I have here some examples. Have these books, library of books, and this is in JSON format, and I can go in the tools menu here, JSON tools, and here I have different tools that I can use. You'll use this YAML to JSON. I'll select the file that I want to convert. No, I wanted JSON to YAML, so the other one. So JSON to YAML. I have this book that will be converted to a books, let's say books new YAML. I'll convert it. This is opened automatically in editor, and we see that the file was converted to YAML. It contains the same information, but it's presented now in a YAML document. And you can convert this back, and you'll have a similar information. So I can go tools, JSON tools, and now I'll select YAML to JSON, book new, convert, and now I have the JSON back available here. You can also batch convert multiple documents. For example, I have here some YAML documents, and I can go in the project, and here I have a batch converter that allows you to convert from JSON to YAML or from XML to YAML, and I'll just convert this to from YAML to JSON. It presents me the files that will be converted, and these are saved in an output folder. And the output folder is created here, and now I can see the result. So if you have the files in one format, Oxygen provides this tool to convert between XML, JSON, and YAML. The conversion from YAML to JSON, it's simple. So it just remove the curly brackets, the square brackets, the double quotes. Also, if you convert to XML, this will add the properties in the tags, and the values will be presented as the value of the elements. Now let me tell you a few things about the OpenAPI and AsyncAPI support. So we provide specific frameworks for editing this type of documents, and you can edit them also in JSON or YAML format. We provide syntax highlight, validation that conforms with the schema, and depending on the schema of the OpenAPI or AsyncAPI document, we provide different validation with the specific schema. Also, content completion, outline view, search replace operation. Can show you an example. So we can close these files, and I have here an OpenAPI example with a pet sitter, let's say. And if we open this document, this contains this tag OpenAPI and has version 3.0, and automatically Oxygen, based on this version, will provide validation and content completion. So if I start here, the content completion automatically will present the properties that can be inserted in this place, or here I can insert a new URL file, or in the content here, I get the properties that are valid in this place. And I have also the documentation for the OpenAPI specification. Similarly, you can edit AsyncAPI file. So if I open an AsyncAPI file, Oxygen determines based on the AsyncAPI version the schema that needs to be used, and then you can start also using the content completion here to see the properties that can be inserted in this place with the documentation, and also if you have schemas that you want to edit, for example, here in the properties, you can insert JSON schema properties, and you have the properties from the JSON schema, and also with links to the JSON schema specification. All this is based on frameworks that we provide in the options. So if you go to the option preferences, in the document type association, we have some frameworks for AsyncAPI 1.x and OpenAPI 2030 or 31. And if we go to see the association, we see that it's associated with YAML or JSON documents and matches the top properties from the document, and uses a custom rule matcher that verifies also the version. And based on this, it provides a schema that is available in the Oxygen framework, so you can also see the schema directly in the Oxygen installation frameworks directory, and provides also validation scenario for your documents. So this will be the schema will be used for both for content completion and validation. We provide also support to generate documentation for OpenAPI documents in YAML format, and you can generate the documentation in HTML or data format. So, for example, for this document, let me undo the modification. I can go here in the Tools menu, and I have this generate documentation action that allows me to generate the documentation for a YAML document that it's for an OpenAPI document that it's in YAML format. I can select the file that I want to generate the documentation for. I can specify also maybe an output folder. Let's say here output, something like this. And you have also different options. So you can generate in HTML or data format. You can specify the information that will be added in the documentation, the annotation from the schema, the properties that you want the source document. And if I click generate, it will open the result file, which is the OpenAPI document. And I can see here the paths that are used, and then I can expand the paths and I can see more information about the parameters and what I need to set in my API. We provide also a tester tool that allows you to test OpenAPI documents, and you can use it also for OpenAPI documents in YAML format. You can execute the operations from the OpenAPI document, and you can check the results. And you can also run a scenario with multiple tests if you want. Show you also an example for this. So you can go here in the tools menu, and in the JSON tools we have this OpenAPI tester and run OpenAPI test scenario. If you click on the OpenAPI tester, you can select the file that you want to set to test. This will automatically be loaded in OpenAPI tester view, and here you can select the server, you can select the operations that you want to check. Then based on these operations, the selected operation, the parameters, the authentication will be presented here, and then you can send a request for test. Right now the server does not work, so it will respond with something that does not found. And you can also create a scenario directly from here and set the request here. I have the response text added as you want here. You can create also custom frameworks. So if you have a language, let's say you have some YAML documents, maybe some Docker configuration files, you can create a framework for you, similarly with what we created for OpenAPI or AsyncAPI. So you just need to create a schema or have a schema for these documents, and then you can define this in the frameworks directory. You can see the frameworks that we already created for OpenAPI and AsyncAPI and see how these frameworks are created. So here you can define the rules to match your documents. You can specify a validation scenario. You can also specify some templates if you want to have some stub of document created when you say new document. So this framework's support is extensible, and you can define for any type of YAML document. I have another question for you here. What features do you consider more important for you? And I added here the features that I presented, but you can also respond with other features that you consider important for you. So the response will be YAML or JSON Schema, or maybe more important for you will be the OpenAPI, AsyncAPI, or maybe use other type of YAML documents, and providing support for those type will be more important for you. So I'll leave this for a few moments so everyone will answer to the question, and then I'll share the results with you. So yeah, see that you are interested in JSON schema, and this is good because JSON schema is important also when you are editing YAML documents, and you are also interested in the OpenAPI and AsyncAPI support. But there are also other type of features that you consider more important. So thank you. I think we can go further. So as a conclusion, Oxygen provides support for editing YAML documents, and it has smart editing support based on JSON schema with content completion, with validation. It has also conversion to refactoring tools. You can also use the batch validation or the batch conversion tools. You can use the OpenAPI and AsyncAPI in YAML, and the editor allows you to easily see when you are editing, see the indentation of your documents, and helps you to create the documents valid. Of course, we have also future plans, and we intend to improve our support. We intend to have an author page for YAML and have a view over the YAML documents based on a CSS, so you can visualize the YAML content like a web page, let's say, and edit this in the author view. We intend also to have query support for YAML using XPath or maybe JSON pointer, similarly with what we have for JSON. Also transforming with XSLT that we already provide for JSON. We intend to have this also for YAML, and maybe new frameworks will be added as built-in frameworks in Oxygen. So of course your feedback is welcome, and we wait for your feedback. And I have a question for you also here. What future developments would you like to see? And I added here the one that I described earlier, but you can also provide us other features that you consider important. So either the author page, maybe it's important for you, or querying, or maybe transforming YAML documents, or maybe you want support for other frameworks, and you can send us this in the questions panel, or you can send us through an email. We are interested in your feedback and how you are editing your YAML documents and what type of YAML documents you intend to edit. So I'll leave this for a few moments so everyone will answer to the question, then we'll share the results. So I see that everyone that answered wants support to transform YAML documents. So we'll add this feedback to our issue, and we'll consider implementing in a future version. Also, querying YAML documents is important, but you have also other use cases. So, thank you for sharing this with us. Can can go further. So I added here some resources. Here the YAML specification. If you want to read more about YAML, there is this YAML page where you can read more about the YAML support from Oxygen on the oxygenxml.com website. Also a link to our user guide where you can read about the support that we provide in Oxygen, and some video demos related with YAML and also with the JSON. Added here also some interesting video demos. One of them is the YAML editing support, but also for JSON schema and the tools that we provide for JSON. So thank you everyone for attending this webinar, and now we have some time for a question, and we'll see what questions you added, and if you have questions or feedback for us, I'll be happy to answer to them. Aline, can you read some of the questions?
Yes, of course. First of all, I want to thank you, Octavian, for another great presentation, as always. And as Octavian mentioned earlier, we thank all of you for joining us today. And I hope that today's presentation helped you to get a more comprehensive understanding of Oxygen's capabilities when working with YAML documents. So now let's jump to our questions. The first questions sounds like this: how do I create a framework for a YAML document?
I specified a little bit in the presentation. So in order to create a framework, you can go here in the option preferences, and here you have this new button that allows you to create a new document type association. You can store this framework either internal or in an external file, and here you can specify the association rules. You can also start from an existing framework, and you can, for example, duplicate one of the frameworks that we already provide and make the changes here, change the properties that you match. What is important is to specify this root local name being YAML. This means that we'll match YAML documents, and then specify the properties that are in your documents as top properties and are like required properties for your documents. So you can match one or multiple properties here, and this will ensure that when you open a specific YAML document, it will use this document type. And then you can specify a schema for your document. You can specify a validation scenario, templates that you can use, and other information here.
Thank you, Octavian. Let's go to our next question. Is there a plan to support Helm templates?
We'll note this. We'll add an issue. We need to check this if schema is provided. It will be easy to have this like a framework maybe in Oxygen. So we'll add an issue and we'll analyze this. So thank you for your feedback.
Dave wanted to thank you. Support seems very complete, he says. Now let's go to our next question. Can I generate a JSON schema for a YAML document?
You can generate, you can, we have support, in fact, to generate a schema for JSON documents. Have this action here that allows you to generate a JSON schema, but this is based on a JSON document. But you can, for example, select convert your YAML document to JSON, generate a schema, and then use that schema for also for your YAML document. So just need to make a conversion before generating the schema, and then you can just use that schema for your documents, even YAML or JSON.
Thank you. Regarding your last question, Octavian, your last poll, we got an answer from Boris that he expects better support for Xproc 3.
Yes, this is on our roadmap. We know, and we hope we'll have a better support in the next version. Yes, this depends also on the Calabash engine, and we still go to. We need to update this engine, but it's not supporting yet the latest version. Yes.
Thank you. And our final question at this moment, how can I edit multi-document YAML files?
We have support to edit multi-documents. So what I didn't add in this webinar is that YAML also has the support to add multiple documents in the same file. I did here have here an example, but I didn't add it in the presentation. So you can add multiple documents and separate this with 3 dashes, and each document can be edited and validated in Oxygen if you specify a schema. So you can have like a validation schema associated with this type of file, and then when you are editing these documents, Oxygen automatically will provide validation and content completion based on associated schema. So yes, you can edit also this type of documents in Oxygen, and we also, for example, if I change here to a number, it will say that this is not a valid and needs to be a string value. So it also validates multiple documents that are added in one file.
Thank you, Octavian. This was our last question for today. I will take control now. Just to remind everyone that today's webinar is being recorded, and tomorrow you can find its recording along with Octavian's presentation slides if you didn't download them until now from the GoToWebinar interface. So let me mention now a little bit about our last scheduled event of the year, where we will meet again with Octavian. Next week, on the 29th of November, we will have Discover the Power of Diff with Change Tracking. What can I tell you about this webinar is that you can join us for this event, an event that will focus on the comparison support that Oxygen provides while presenting some of the new and exciting capabilities of the merge documents with change tracking highlights and merge directories with change tracking highlights. And as always, I encourage you to take a look at our events page, where you can also find the links to register for free to all of our future webinars, as well as to find out the list of conferences where you can meet with us, the Oxygen team, in person. Okay, in closing, I want to thank you all again for being able to join us today. I hope we will also hear each other next week on our final event of the year. Again, Octavian, thank you for presenting today. Great presentation as always. And
thank you, Aline. Thank you all for joining and for being here. And I'll wait you for the next webinar on the diff support.
And of course, big thank you to Florin and Theodor that helped us with some of your questions behind the scene. Well, this is everything that we had to share with you today. And until next week, where we hope to meet again, have a wonderful day or evening. Bye bye.
Bye bye.